Philothanik here with a replay cast from Ranked Q, this time featuring Rectum, Fredward, Cat, and Larsa. We are on Ceres. We have expansives, robots, scientists, and elites. Let's take a look at this map. It is a glass colony. There are nukes. We have an interesting robotic spot over here next to some water. It is a glass colony, so you could try and go for some sort of a glass scientist spot over here. That would be interesting. Not a lot of iron nearby to make that work, so that's a little bit annoying. Might be able to squeeze in a scientist over here with these 2 iron next to this water and glass. That'd probably be a better, silicon for glass scientists. That'd probably be a better choice. You could find something like elite over here. Expanses over here, excuse me. Elite could be an option too, although I don't recommend it on Ceres. I also don't recommend elites for new players. We do have Cat going with the robotic first found, taking that for right around 1,000. Going to go into some of this high aluminum, so going to start selling that down. So good choice there, I would assume. Did look like Cat sold down, yep, selling down some of that aluminum that they crushed. No need to keep it. Nobody else is founding, nobody else is certain what to do. There are multiple options. Unfortunately, I'm not sure that there are 3 more options that are good.
An expansive HQ has been founded.
2 expansives right next to each other. I think Fred got the better out of these 2 founds next to this water and aluminum right next door. It'll be interesting to see who can get this high first. Larsa founding for an expansive over here. I guess that makes sense. You can ship in the iron long distance. Larsa's going to need to get some of that steel production down and then claim that iron over there. Instead, going to go straight into triple steel. The iron's rising in price rapidly, but that's because Larsa bought 100 of it. We'll see if this works for it, because Lars says this 100 is not going to be enough. We'll see if anybody else is selling down. Steel Cat's already HQ2 over the strength of that high metal found, going for a very blob heavy.
The black market is online.
Blob heavy start, and looks like Fred did not like Retok encroaching onto their territory. Decided to immediately nuke the metal mine on HQ2. But that means Retok is going to get to HQ2 first. Let's see what they decide to claim with their extra 4 claims here. They're going to take that water right from under Fred's nose. Now, it's interesting, Fred has a steel mill separated. I don't really like that, is because you are going to have to wait for that steel to come in, and with both of that, we already have the robot on HQ3. Continuing to blob, and go straight into upgrade resources. This is all metal, all steel. Steel still pretty high. Pretty much all the metal, all the iron, all the steel, all high. So that could work in the short term, but you're going to need some more goons to split this apart, because there are power surges. Fortunately for the robot, there are no EMPs on the market. We'll see how this works. Fredward finally at HQ2. Larsa moving into some iron of their own. Doesn't quite have enough iron. That's increasing the price, which is helping out Cat. But steel still high priced. And then going to make some decent money off of this life support, although it might have been better just to go straight into water first, sell that down, then move into the electrolysis reactors, make some more money there. Water pumps are free to put down. Low silicon auction tile. Oh, right by the colony. That's an interesting place for a low silicon tile to exist. That means a nice pleasure dome spot, 20k, probably worth it. Let's check in on Fredward. Fredward finally connecting their steel mills up still has 2 claims, hasn't decided what to do with them just yet.
A robotics HQ has been upgraded.
Retok going into power, and wow, Cat already on HQ 4 off of this sort of crazy industrialized start, all mining, all steel, and what a blob. This is Blob City right here. I really wish I had an EMP to throw on this right now. I'm supposed to be a neutral commentator, but this is just screaming for some black market attack. Power surges, like right here or over here, just rippling through this, shoving that entire blob down. This needs to be split up. I know you're getting the robot adjacency bonuses. This is also a gross overcommitment into steel, as there's so much steel production, and auto off is already starting to kick in, at least for a few of these. It looks like auto off isn't necessarily turned off, but had to purchase some steel to get the upgrade. But yeah, this is just way too much. Cat HQ 5 when everyone else is HQ 2. Fredward needs to stop nuking. Retok needs to stop nuking Fredward, and Fredward needs to stop nuking Retok, and they need to focus on Cat, because Cat at HQ 5 has 28k in the bank, moving into some power. Little power's on the way down, finally moving into some water to support some life support in the future, but nobody punishing this blobbing by Cat whatsoever. And Cat just might be able to get away with it. We'll have to see if Cat's going to be able to... Okay, finally a power surge comes in and knocks out 3 of these buildings, but 37k in the bank. HQ 5 could be too late. I mean, what I'd do at this point is buy up some more goon squads and just put a line through the middle here, just to keep, you know, only 5 over here or 5 over there being hit by a power surge and frozen. That would be a 22k investment in goons from Cat, and I think that would be very much worth it. We have a Pleasure Dome auction going on here. That should be a pretty decent Pleasure Dome. Larsa surprisingly put a solar panel down here. That should go into a Pleasure Dome sometime in the near future. The 3 expansives on the series, as long as you can keep your power under control, that should be fine. Retok moving into a patent lab somewhere. Looks like it hasn't quite been constructed yet. Oh, it's just literally was placed down before this auction came out. It's this pile right here. Fredward moving into some water, moving into some power, moving into a patent lab of their own. Everybody's got to be really careful. This upgrade to HQ3, quite dangerous. Cat with 50k, still able to make money despite only being in 4 markets at this point and heavily in them right now. Going to move into Larsa, but Cat's losing the income production. We'll see if Cat's going to be able to keep this up. Going to need to start diversifying, moving into some life support, moving into some uranium. Cat does have some uranium coming in, it looks like. That's shipping long distance though. But Larsa's not making a terrible lot of money either. Could be. Could be though. These glass cones really need to have auto supply turned on. I don't know why it is turned off. You really should be playing this game with both auto supply turned on and auto off turned on. Both of those options I covered in my 5 tips video. So please turn those on when playing Offworld Trading Company, especially as a new player. That will definitely help you. Now they're finally turned on, so these glass cones are finally making money. So it looks like, well, it's still going to be very close between the two. We do have some teleportation going for Retok and Fredward. What is the state of the patent lab right now? Fredward has a patent lab, but it hasn't been built into. This is why I wanted Cat to spend 22k and continue to defend off this blob and turn it into 2 different sections. But it is going to be very close. Larsa just able to defend themselves. Also, did they upgrade to HQ4 during that? Wow, that was quite the bet and quite dangerous. Retok is going to get teleportation. Fredward's sitting here with the patent lab doing nothing. Not entirely sure what they want to do. Retok just upgraded, and this is going to allow a cat to switch targets, and I think Cat is going to get the first kill of the game. And for some strange reason, Larsa is helping, but it looks like it doesn't matter because Cat has enough cash to finish this out. So in this case, Larsa does want to get as much of Retok's stock as possible to get as much benefit as possible. So Larsa should sell out of this last pip of stock of their own and use it to buy into Retok, and then try and buy as much of Retok's stock as they possibly can. Cat right now has started to diversify out of this industrial robot start and is moving into life support, has enough water input to keep them online. Needs to continue to diversify some more as all of these steel mills are not making much money at all. There's another freeze from Fredward, but it's a little bit too late. Cat is definitely in the driver's seat. Still needs to buy some of those 10k goons and split all of this production off. But now it should be a race. Larsa needs to buy more stock into Retok. There, Larsa begins to do so. Larsa needs to sell out of their own stock and continue to buy into Retok. Fredward right now decided just to get rid of that patent lab, so that was a waste of construction right there. Has the upgrade if they should choose so, but doesn't quite know what to do with it. Cat's going to challenge Fredward, so there's a good reason not to take the upgrade, as you don't want to get bought out by the leader. Larsa is going to buy up their own stock instead. That's a mistake. Should be buying into Retok. Need to split Retok with the leader in order to have a chance at this game, in order to get, or for the use those expansive advantages in the late game. That's what I would be doing. Larsa is moving into a patent lab. There are useful patents on the board other than teleportation. I'm not sure why Retok took teleportation first. Retok, in fact, wasn't really teleporting anything from super long distance, so that does seem to be a mistake from Retok's perspective. Water is very high. Very high. That's definitely hurting Cat over here. Cat needs auto off to be turned on because they are losing money, but they don't have enough money to supply their farm, so that sort of helps with the losing, preventing from the losing. They're going into a off-world market. Well, okay, this is one of the first times that I don't have an objection to going to an off-world market on Ceres because it only costs 64k. Let's check the launches, 25k, so this off-world's going to pay for itself in 2.25 40k launches for chems. Hopefully Cat notices that and launches chems. That means it'll pay for itself in 1.5 launches. That is definitely worth it. Some mutinies on the pleasure domes going back and forth. See, this was a good pleasure dome. This solar panel here should be a pleasure dome also. Larsa moving into slant drilling. We can see that thanks to the UE Plus mod, which I am using for this cast. Slant drilling. Okay. Not sure what Larsa is going to use it to slant drill onto. What this does mean is their resources are going to decrease faster until everything is HQ1. It is nuke defense though, so another reason to think about it. And good, Cat is launching chemicals. Sometimes It's hard to look that far down to see the chemical launch. But making 37k profit on the next chemical launch, that is quite good.
And expansive HQ
Fredward is HQ4. And there's still all this stock sitting up here. Larsa with 220k needs to buy the rest of Retok's stock. Get 5 stock in Retok of their own. Defending yourself was good too, but buy the stock while you still can. Get the price boost for that stock. Get the money from that stock, as eventually this expansive is going to be worth money in the late game once we get there. And then with your expansive claims, you might be able to keep up with the robot. But the robot does have a secret weapon, and that is this off-world market.
Your stock is being sold.
And they're going to get most of the sub, which means Cat's going to be that much more expensive to purchase at the end of the day. Larsa is going into virtual reality, which I do like. Does need to swap out that solar panel for another pleasure dome. Look how much this pleasure dome is making, 235. You could have another pleasure dome, and between the two, they would both be making just under 200. That would be strictly better than what Larsa has right now. To keep that pleasure dome online, move some of these glass kilns into some nuclear reactors, just to keep your power under control. As Larsa, as these two over here are only making $28 per share, need to have auto supply turned on. These chemicals should be making so much money right now, but they're not, because auto supply is currently off, and it hurts me to see it. They're finally turned on. It's just a setting, guys and girls. Please turn auto supply on. But Larsa in a decent spot. The only mistake Larsa made so far is not buying into Retok, and Retok is making Cat okay, but not that good money so far. And Larsa does have a lot of stock in Cat. Larsa needs another 300k to finish the buy on Cat, so I'll have to check Cat's Offworlds. They're down to 30k. The Offworld has more than paid for itself. There are no spies. Nobody noticed its construction. And I don't think anyone's going to notice the Offworld. Cat just paid through a lot of debt. A lot of debt. But all of their production is earning lots of money. This industrial complex back to earning more money, along with some life support over here. Lots of triple digits. Still needs to buy some more of those goons. But Larsa right now making lots of money, moving into liquid batteries to keep these solar panels online overnight. I guess because the uranium's so high, that seemed like a better plan than moving into the nuclear reactors, which I didn't notice when I first suggested it. So that's fine. Let's take a look at Fredward. We haven't looked at Fredward for a couple. HQ upgrade. Fredward has a lot of power. Fredward is earning power money. Fredward is in some optimization centers. Fredward is optimizing. Fredward does have, but they only got those optimization centers a few times ago. Fredward is attacking Larsa.
The engineers have advanced.
That's an interesting move. Fredward's helping Cat attack Larsa. Now Larsa does seem to be in the lead, but some of that advantage is disappearing, and I'm not entirely sure where all that cash from Larsa has gone. I imagine most of it's into these patents, but patents are decently expensive, but they're not that expensive. I'm not entirely sure how Larsa lost a couple, about $100,000 now. Some of it is into buying into Fredward. We have a very unique stock market battle going on right now. Larsa has all of Cat, and Larsa needs to focus on Cat. Larsa shouldn't have bought into Fredward. Fredward probably shouldn't have helped Cat by buying into Larsa. If I'm Fredward, I want to drag this game out as long as possible. I want to use my optimization center advantage and optimize as many things as possible, and I want to use my expansive claims advantage and make as much money as I can in the late game, and then just maybe I'll be able to pick off one of either Larsa or Cat when they fight, where they're fighting amongst themselves, preferably Cat, because then I get this nice bit of the subsidiary, which is finally making Cat decent money at 1k per second. And then as Fredward, I might be able to find a path to win this game. But we can see that that would have been a risky strategy, as Larsa is making more money than Fredward is. Larsa with a almost 100k lead on Fredward. Larsa is in some better markets right now. Glass in lots of water, where Fred could be in more water, making lots of easy money, but has these nuclear plants online, which he probably should have rotated out of and replaced, well, these steel mills with. That would have been a strictly better rotation in the water here. Replace the steel mills with the nuclear plants. You would pay some in steel, but that way you'd be making more money overall.
The black market is online. The engineers
So it's becoming a race between Cat and Larsa. We do have this Offworld market earning Cat 650 per second, but Larsa does have the advantage on Cat, 66% to 51%. Larsa needs an additional 100k to buy out Cat. Larsa looking for 703k. Cat only needs, well, 700k also, thanks to this little pip that Fredward has. So that's why Larsa is winning this race. If Larsa can pick up Cat, Larsa should win this game. Larsa will get all the rest of Retok stock, and Fredward does not have enough cash on the hand to come out with the victory. Now, hopefully Larsa doesn't buy Fred right now, because that red button could appear quite soon, and it's very tempting to hit that red button, and it would be a mistake if you're in Larsa's position. Larsa needs to focus on Cat 87% of the way.
The optimization center
Should be able to make the buy in another soul, and then Larsa will be well on the way to win the game. Cat's just been sticking into this industrial complex of steel a little bit too long. Unfortunately, doesn't have a diverse amount of resources coming in, but you could move into some glass and try and steal those profits away from Larsa by moving into that glass market. And unfortunately, Larsa buys out the wrong target. Larsa bought out Fredward instead of sticking at Cat, and now Cat
Make room for the
is only 20% of the way out to the buy under Larsa. Cat with almost $600,000, still needs 700,000. That buy into Larsa improved their stock price, but Larsa also spending a lot of money on this Offworld, while the Offworld only costs Cat 60k. This is 100k, and we do have 42k launches, but this Offworld is out in the open. There are no holograms on it, and there's still really cheap holograms on the market, and there are a lot of targets on the market that are very cheap, black market items that are very cheap. Network viruses to pop goon squads, and then mutinies and things like that. So Cat does have the game right here, right now. Larsa trying to use the network virus to keep these steel mills online and losing money. Cat just needs to recognize they have the buy And Cat gets the victory thanks to mistakes made by Larsa, buying out the wrong target, not waiting to get the buy on Cat, not realizing the danger that Larsa was in by Cat, so Cat able to capitalize on those mistakes and turn the industrial complex start, hard metals, hard minerals, into a victory. So this just shows you that the stock market is something that you do need to pay attention to. You do need to realize that buying into a third place player when you're in a battle for second place player like Larsa did can result in the second place player winning, and that was the case here. Larsa had the advantage. Larsa, if they bought Cat, would have had a sub that was making $1,800 a second. They would have taken the biggest competitor off the market. Fredward had about 200k less than Larsa did, and Larsa would have secured all of their stock except for one pip by buying out Cat. Larsa, with that stock price advantage, may have been able to finish the buy on Fredward just by selling out of their own stock. So it was a stock mistake that ended the game in the favor of Cat. And to be fair to Larsa, late game stock is very hard to practice. The AI in Offworld, while very good, is not good enough to give you a good taste of what that late game is going to be. So by playing multiplayer and making these sorts of mistakes, that is how we learn when playing Offworld. So hopefully Larsa does see this replay and recognizes that they did very well. I did like a lot of their game up until building the Offworld and purchasing into Fredward. They got a bunch of patents, a lot of good patents. I'd like to see them pick up nanotech, but you can't argue with transparent aluminum if you're going to go for an Offworld, which I still don't really recommend. Perpetual motion, virtual reality, liquid batteries when uranium is so high and hard, power nuke plants, slant drilling. Just would have liked to see maybe nanotech instead of energy vault and transparent aluminum there. And then I'd also like to see Larsa move into some optimization centers. Larsa was the only one not in optimizations, and you can just imagine if this Offworld market was instead an optimization center and built a lot earlier and was optimizing electronics, which are making almost triple-digit profits, optimizing glass, which is making 166 each, optimizing water. You can just imagine a situation where Larsa had so much more income and was able to buy out, hopefully, Cat sooner. Fredward didn't quite have the start that they wanted. Part of that was due to this high water tile being taken over by Retok, and that was from that early game nuke. And then, despite it being a glass colony over here, and it was consuming 1.8 glass a second, well, I'm actually honestly not sure why Fred is not into the glass market. They do have 2 silicon underneath themselves, which they had chems, and they could be making some good money off of the silicon right there, selling that down and then moving into glass. So Fred just not in the right markets compared to Larsa. Retok played a decent early game and then upgraded without realizing that Cat could buy them out, and that's what happened. And then Cat with a rather unique start going into all this steel, but unfortunately this huge blob of steel and metal mines meant that Cat didn't have the diversity in claims that you want. But despite that, Cat still able to pull off a victory, capitalizing on Larsa's mistakes. An entertaining and very educational game, I would say. If you enjoyed this cast, hit that like button, subscribe, or leave a message in the comments. Feel authentic, signing out.